Hello to day 19. Welcome back to the returning viewers and a warm welcome to any new viewers that are finding this video. This is my video diary that's going through my entire life. So it's for me to see my personal development journey, and as I'm going along I am sharing hints and tips. I am a qualified coach and hypnotherapist, and I've launched my online business under the brand of Be Heard, Be Brave, Be Free, and I'm trying to create a community here on YouTube where we can support each other, and through my life experiences I can share hints and tips of things that I didn't do and I wish I had the tools, or I was at the right point in my life to sort of apply those tools, because I do believe that when the student is ready, the right teacher, the right tool, the right information will appear. And where we've got to in terms of my life story is up to the age of 39. And I am 52. My name is Tanya. So if you want to stick around for story time, because the next few video vlogs are going to be a little bit more about my story and what I've learned in hindsight with the kind of self-reflection and the training that I've done. So where we had left off in the previous vlog was I had experienced a burnout with work, so I handed in my resignation. I took a 4-month unpaid leave time off, and I decided to go travelling. Now I had a friend that had gone back home to New Zealand, and that was my ultimate destination that I was heading to. But prior to heading to New Zealand, I decided, because I was doing for the very kind of first time I was heading in the kind of opposite direction from me travel wise, so I knew the kind of journey times would be a lot longer, so I wanted to sort of build in some recovery time. So I left from Edinburgh and I flew via Dubai to Singapore, and I stayed in Singapore for 7 days. And what I'll do is because there is a lot of traveling and there's a lot of things that happened as part of the traveling, I'm not going to detail them in this diary vlog. I will do that in future ones, but for this I'm just going to give you the kind of really high level overview of what happened. So 7 days in Singapore, then I proceeded to Sydney, Australia for 7 days, but I went to the Blue Mountains for 3 of them because I wanted to go and see the 3 sisters. I was very much motivated to do the walking after getting into the kind of walking exercise and a bit of hill walking as well. So I did that, and I had a cousin that was living in, and he currently still lives in Australia, and I spent a bit of time with him and his friends as well. Then I proceeded to go over to New Zealand, where I did the North Island and the South Island, and I spent some time with my friend as well. So all in all, I did 9 weeks in New Zealand and the 1 week in Singapore and the 1 week in Australia. So 11 weeks in total. And during that time, my kind of focus was to recharge my batteries, to figure out what I really wanted out of my life, because I couldn't keep giving 100% to work and expect my life to have balance in it. So I needed to sort of rethink everything. And that's the first time that I came across the kind of terminology of manifestation and the whole kind of concept of law of attraction. And despite all the kind of reading that I had done and the courses that I had done previously, I hadn't really delved in. I just thought, oh, that's just a wee bit too woo-woo for me. But I sort of I found the teachings of the Barefoot Doctor, who was more in the kind of Taoism, and something just resonated. And there was this one track, and this is back in the day where it wasn't downloads, it was CDs, and I had a CD uploaded onto my iPod, and I took my iPod with me on my travels. So I had other music, but I had this. And in the kind of times where I was sort of wanting to do a bit of self-reflection, because it was about recharging the batteries, about finding fun activities, but at the same time delving a little bit further into, well, why did things have to get to this kind of stage before I would actually prioritize my own needs? And that made me start looking back on my life and figuring out some kind of patterns. Now, I did get a fair bit of insights throughout those 11 weeks being away and doing the travel and meeting a lot of people and finding the things that brought joy into my life. And it was about exploring cultures, about seeing new places. I love architecture, not that I know anything about it, but I can appreciate beauty in the kind of man-built structures as well as in nature itself. So I had the combination of wanting to walk, be outdoors, be out in nature, but I was quite content being in a city and sort of like walking around and seeing the kind of different architecture, but at the same time being in a beautiful botanic garden and appreciating the beauty around me. Not that I have any knowledge in botany or flowers at all, but I can appreciate the beauty of it. So I spent a lot of time outdoors and also meeting people and having those little small conversations to have that kind of connectedness, but also a bit of fun as well. So I did a lot of kind of fun adventure stuff that I can cover off in another vlog in New Zealand. But the one thing that I sort of got real kind of clarity on was, what did I want to do when I went back to work? What was my life going to look like? And what I really wanted was to have balance at work, that it wasn't like that I was going 100 miles per hour all the time. And it was about slowing down a bit, about taking self-care. And because I had being introduced to walking and exercise, I decided when I came back from my time off that I was going to introduce some exercise via the kind of way of boot camps, and that was outdoor activities where it wasn't necessarily using equipment, but we had a coach that was sort of navigating our kind of training activity, and it would be high intensity activity that we'd be doing over a 45-minute period, which meant that on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday I was going to be going into work a wee bit later, which then meant that I would leave work a wee bit later as well, but it would balance itself out. And it meant that I wouldn't be staying till really late at work. And then with my commute, it wouldn't make it a really longer kind of day. So bringing balance from that kind of perspective. And then on a Tuesday, on a Thursday, I was a wee bit more flexible, that I could go into work earlier if meetings needed to take place at that time, and make sure that I was wrapping things fairly sharp on those evenings, because I didn't want to sort of like create an imbalance. And then in addition to the kind of work, the way that I wanted to prioritize work, it was always about, what do I want to do? What is the thing that I really enjoyed doing? And it was about traveling, about exploring. So I decided to sort of incorporate a fair bit of travel within my life between the ages of 39 and 41, and I'll go into the 42 and onwards probably in tomorrow's vlog. And in that kind of space, I wanted not just the kind of big international holiday that I was going to do, I wanted smaller city breaks. Now, considering that Scotland is just part of Europe, there's easy access to flights from Edinburgh to other countries. So I visited Scandinavian countries. I had been a few years prior to Finland on a kind of skiing. Not that I did skiing, but we'll cover that off later. So I experienced a little bit of Finland. And then I went to Sweden, so I visited Stockholm, and then I also visited Norway, Bergen and Oslo, and then over to Denmark and Copenhagen. So I did some mini kind of trips in there, and then I had the kind of big trips that I was actually doing. So I went to Peru for my 40th birthday, and then on for when I turned 41, the next kind of location was I wanted to visit Thailand, Vietnam, and also Cambodia. So I did a kind of longer kind of stint in those countries. So as a result, travel was a big thing. And then it sort of gave me focus at work. No matter how things might have been up and down, the focus was I'm there to earn money to be able to pay for my travel and for me to fill my cup that way, because it was these are the things that were bringing me joy. And in between the work, when I was back home, it was making sure that I was spending time outdoors. I was doing a lot of walking, and because of the boot camps, I also introduced healthier eating patterns where I was eating clean food. And for those of you that are not familiar, I'll probably go into that in another kind of vlog when I'm covering off more about my kind of weight journey and my health eating. But the one kind of big thing that I did was I got rid of my microwave when I turned 40 because of all the kind of conflicting information in terms of are microwaves good for you or not. I sort of came to the conclusion that for me, I wasn't wanting to take the chance, so I got rid of it. And in terms of bringing that kind of fun element into my life, I felt that I was starting to not just be in the rat race, not always constantly trying to achieve something at work and get those external validations and confirmations from the people that I was actually working for. I was actually looking at the things that bring me joy on my kind of sort of day to day. But the big thing that sort of shifted for me by being away and doing that self-reflection of what I wanted was I started opening myself up to the possibility that maybe being in a long-term relationship is something that I would want to explore. Now, at the age of 39, considering I was in that kind of recovery from burnout, it was just more be open to the possibility. And then over the kind of preceding next couple of years, I just become a little bit more open, and I started sort of taking some proactive steps in order to explore that as a possibility for me, because I knew that I didn't want to have children. That was just something that I've known from a very early age that wasn't part of this life experience for me. But the relationships were something that was always in the future, always in the future. And then it was at what point am I going to maybe consider it? And for me, that consideration started taking place when I turned 39. So I think we'll bring it to a close here, and we'll continue the journey tomorrow. So we'll cover off the kind of hitting 40 and the kind of mental kind of process that I was going through at that stage, and then what proceeded in my 40s. So thank you for watching. I appreciate in this there wasn't hints and tips and advice, it was just Tanya's storytelling, and I'll probably title this Tanya Storytelling Part 1, and then tomorrow will be Part 2. So if this isn't content that resonates with you and you're not remotely interested in my journey from that kind of perspective, no offense whatsoever. This is about me, sort of evidence my journey for myself. So thank you if you've stuck around and watched. If not, then that's totally fine as well. Go out and seize the day. Have an awesome day. And remember, in life, you've always got choices, so choose wisely. Until tomorrow, bye.